Okay, 12th house. We'll just see how much we can get through on the 12th house.
Okay. And the 12th house is one of the Dushanta houses. So 6, 8, and 12. They're very difficult houses to deal with. And when it comes to the themes of the 12th house, it has to do with the non-physical aspect of this life. And it's also the house that drains us. So it drains us of our resources, of our energy, vitality, anything that's tangible in our life. It starts to erode these things by itself. Anyway, that's what the 12th house does. So it has to do with losses. It's also, on the other hand, is a house of spirituality, daydreaming. It has to do with loneliness because this house is empty. The vision that you can have of this house, I was saying it in the last video about Mars, big, vast, open space with no differentiation, no thingness in this house. So these are very difficult things to deal with. Saturn has its joy in the 12th house. First of all, because Saturn is a malefic, the house is considered a kind of a malefic. Malefic with malefic cancels it out, takes the negative of it and makes it into positive because it knows how to deal with it. Saturn has nothing to restrict here. Like, what is the thingness? How is Saturn going to put limitation on open, vast space? This house is already draining things. Saturn's going to create scarcity about what? So Saturn, in a sense, is free in the 12th house. There's nothing more to do. It's like it's already done. So Saturn comes here. Saturn's like, oh, I can rest. I don't have to do any of the Saturnine things that I do. I'm good. But Saturn's heavy. And the 12th house has to do with, like we were talking about inertia earlier. Saturn doesn't even need to move in the 12th house.
So basically, if you're lying down, you just don't want to get up.
No, you can just get lost in like watching stuff. Being alone becomes very prominent. Saturn's not a social planet. The 12th house doesn't accommodate other people because other people become the objects of the world and they can't go into the 12th house. So it creates an isolation, inertia, but then at the same time, because Saturn's not necessarily suffering too much in the 12th house because of these things, the person can remain in that state until some other aspects of the chart starts pulling on the person and it creates that discomfort. But other than that, like staying in bed all day, no desire for thingness of this life, for doing things, these kinds of feelings can become very prominent.
So like you said, someone sitting on YouTube and watching YouTube videos all day.
Yeah, YouTube is a form of escapism too, right?
Yeah, or Instagram or anything.
You just, you're not dealing with real facts of life. And Saturn's all about reality in a lot of ways. But in the 12th house, it doesn't need to deal with reality. There is no thingness in the 12th house anymore. It can give someone the sense of like, I should be in this state because I'm so tired, because the 12th house already drains. Saturn creates lethargy and inertia at the same time. So the person might have the inner sense of, I'm better off staying just here in bed. I'm better off just being alone. So yeah, Saturn in the 12th house can create all these kinds of feelings. You don't want to touch base with your physical body, like go exercise and go to the gym. 6th house, you would, but 12th house, you don't want to.
But if Saturn sitting in the 12th is looking at isn't it aspecting the 6th? So shouldn't it kind of trigger that?
But Saturn sitting in the 12th. So the 6th house matters will kind of just like sitting there and not getting done.
Okay.
Saturn is lethargic and content with it in the 12th house.
Probably doesn't want to go out anywhere, doesn't want to see anyone.
No, and you can see how it's starting to erode the significations of the 1st house, because our physical body and that sense of vitality comes from movement. 12th house negates that movement that the body needs. They're like initial starts and beginnings are in the 1st house. In the 12th house, you don't want, with Saturn sitting there too, you don't want to start anything. You don't want to initiate anything. There are no initial conditions. So it's eroding all the stuff that the 1st house comes to signify.
So if you have a friend who's visiting and asks you to go for a walk, you just don't want to get up and go for that walk.
No, no. But you will go once when you're probably out there, whoever, but that initiating and going, there's a sense of, I just rather be here. This is the problem with Saturn in the 12th house. I mean, like, and it's a good thing about Saturn in the 12th house in a sense that it's kind of taking the consciousness of how it's eroding the first house. So the person's actually comfortable with being in that condition. That's why they might not want to leave to go and physically initiate and create a beginning and do something. The good thing is that they're not feeling complete torment, which Saturn's very good at doing when you're not doing what you're supposed to. But at the same time, it's good. You don't feel the torment, but it's not good because it's not.
You don't get stuff done.
Yeah, you're not moving, and especially relative to the first house is becoming destructive. You can get stuck in a habit, for example. Let's just keep doing the same thing. Aloneness is very prominent with Saturn in the 12th. So they connect the 12th house to prisons or mental health institutions and things of that nature because you're isolated, because you're alone. And Saturn's kind of a loner. So when you put these significations, the person can create self-imprisonment, self-isolation in that sense, you know?
Yeah.
They don't want to deal with other people, and it's self-induced in that way. And there's a sense of comfort with it. And in the
That's what I was gonna say. They're probably comfortable with it though.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's a good part. At least they're not being tormented. Because in other houses, you're just like, I'm in this state and I feel like a prisoner. But in the case of Saturn in the 12th house, the person's doing it to themselves. So,
yeah.
And there's a sense of comfort with the inertia. As a bad word to use, the person is lazy. But at the same time, it's not lazy because they feel drained. And there is that being alone, you know? So it's like, what's the incentive? These kinds of themes actually come into the 12th house.
Well, I think the way you describe Saturn as well, like they feel heavy, tired, exhausted, slow.
That tamasic quality of
Saturn. They just can't even get out of bed. They also don't maybe want to get out of bed. I think they're comfortable, right? They're comfortable not seeing people, not initiating things, not getting things done. Like they could, and like you said, escapism, I would think. Daydreaming, escapism, basically do anything to escape, but what you need to do.
And it's just the problem with Saturn. And again, the benefit of Saturn, because I guess everything in life at the end of it is, how did you feel about it? That's the subjective nature of life, right? Because there's nothing in the 12th house. And if you bring anything, like if I bring this piece of paper into the 12th house, it starts to disentangle, become decomposed, and go out of existence in terms of having a tangible form. So there's already no thingness in the 12th house. Saturn represents scarcity, for example, or lack of something. But then the person doesn't feel the lack in the 12th house because there was no thingness anyways. It's like, what am I missing? So that having an incentive to go get things and to do things are lost in the 12th house. And the person doesn't have a sense of it, that there is something missing. So from their own perspective, they're not missing out. But then they have to pay attention to their life around them, the 6th house, the daily work, the daily grind, the opposing house, 7th to 12th. If there are demands and you have Saturn sitting there, the garbage could pile up, for example, because it represents your daily chores, the daily work, the daily grimy things, routines that we have to do just to maintain. So yeah, when you put Saturn, there could be stuff falling apart in other houses of the chart, but Saturn in the 12th just doesn't have a sense of it and doesn't get tormented by it. The person doesn't get tormented by it. So to create that initiative to move and to act becomes difficult.
So then what are you supposed to do? Just don't lie down? Like you said, I think in one of our last videos, you're like, once you lie down, you just don't want to get up.
Yeah. I don't have Saturn in the 12th house. The 12th house is related to a watery house. I do have Saturn in a watery sign, and I've learned from an experience, my God, just throughout when the light is out and it's not time for bed, do not lay down. Because the minute that I lay down, I go into a state of inertia and I cannot get up. So yeah, 12th house is the same thing. It's like, don't give in to the bed pleasure part of it in terms of like escaping and not engaging because you're going into the no thingness of life. And then it's because you can't gain momentum there. You can't generate speed and force and power to will yourself out of it. And you're just there. And heaviness and inertia and you can't get, yeah. So for me too, I just like that and like, forget it, not doing it.
Yeah. So you basically have to force yourself to
Yeah.
but it's such a heavy feeling,
Sorry
I'm
to
guessing.
like interrupt you, but I literally feel it in my circulation system. Like as I'm sitting up right now, if I pay attention, I feel that I can feel the blood flow vertically like moving and it's keeping me in this position. The minute I lay down and I go from the vertical to the horizontal position, I feel like I have no circulation. It's like everything becomes so static and heavy. You know, the
Yeah.
12th house has that same kind of feeling in it too. You just can't generate force and power and movement and momentum and motion.
Yeah. Is it also that it's just overwhelming and you're just like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I
Yeah.
just don't want to be bothered? Or is it, I don't care, it doesn't really affect me?
Both, because I'm telling you, Saturn, this is why Saturn's free in the 12th house. It's just kind of like there's nothing here anyway. I don't care. You can get the feeling of I don't care. You can actually throw your hand up and dismiss the care that you should have when Saturn's in the 12th house. And you don't care half the time because you do feel drained and tired because the 12th house drains you, drains your physicality, drains the physical aspect, the tangible and the material aspect. And our body is that in the 12th house. So yeah, it can become that way. The 12th house is a detracting house. Saturn is a deducing. So it's actually trying to slow down everything. And then the 12th house is decaying everything. So yeah,
So is it slowing down the decay?
Pardon?
Is it then basically slowing down your decay?
There's nothing to decay. There's no tangible aspect in the 12th house, you know?
Okay, so that's why you're pretty chill there, just doing nothing, like laying there, staring at the wall.
Yeah, you're not tormented. Unless if you have like Mars opposing it. Now we got a little bit of problem. The person will feel the torment. Saturn opposing it too through transit. Let's say you have Saturn in your natal chart, Saturn in the 6th house. The malefics opposing Saturn in the 12th house will make Saturn conscious of like, what the hell, get up. While the person's like, I don't want to get up. I'm so tired, you know? But yeah, the 6th house opposition from the 12th with malefics will make Saturn in the 12th conscientious of you should feel torment. And it starts.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So there is going to be torment then, if that's the case.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of torment.
Not so much. Malefics, yeah, you'll feel it.
Yeah, so you're almost, what is it, a rock in a hard place? You don't want to get up, but you're so tormented mentally.
Yeah, and then you're tired to get up anyway. So you go into an internal war of trying to generate motion to work, to do the 6th house stuff.
Yeah.
You know? But putting like benefics in the 6th house, they already want to be, using quotation around the word, lazy. And then Saturn up there is comfortable too. So it's not going to be as harsh feeling of having a malefic in the 6th opposing Saturn in the 12th. The person
is better.
The person is going to keep telling themselves, "You're lazy. Like, what the f is wrong with you? Get the hell up." Or if you have a benefic, you don't have that feeling.
Oh, so if it's a Jupiter, Jupiter's going to let you lie down all day?
You're going to make excuses for it as to why you should be lying down. The malefics will make you conscious of, like, what the hell are you doing? We're dying here. Get up.
Also, relative to the 1st house, it's basically yourself. So you're basically deteriorating yourself.
Relative to the 1st house?
Yeah.
Like in terms of eroding it?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, because if you are alone, we know, especially for a human being who is a social creature by wiring, it's deteriorating your mind, your body. The body needs to be active to be healthy. The 1st house is opposing the 7th house. It's a hectic place. There's a marketplace. The self needs to be in that mode of engagements to sustain itself, to be healthy. And the 12th house is kind of eroding all of these significations of health and body. And yeah, so it's deducing from the health of the 1st house. That's how it's eroding it, by keeping it isolated, alone, inactive, unengaged with the world and the material aspects of it.
Yeah. So is it also somebody, like, you see a lot of people who just kind of don't care for much, sitting in like a Saturn here, like yogis, like spiritual people, they kind of just
they're okay
erode.
with that isolation too, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you need time for contemplation, and that requires you to be alone in solitude, solitary. So when Saturn's there, it doesn't make, you know how some people have to go like pay a whole lot of money to some bougie ashrams just so that they can be quiet for a week? It's like, why can't you be quiet? And they're getting like full service. It's, you probably, if you had the discipline of how to be by yourself, you could do a better job of connecting at your house than the environment that you're going to. But they need like all this bells and whistle just to tolerate being alone and being in solitude. It has to artificially be created for them, and they have to be ushered in it and ushered out of it. Saturn in the 12th house doesn't need all the bells and whistles because it's already comfortable with that isolation, solitude, aloneness, and it doesn't necessarily feel lonely in that situation. So it doesn't need 200 people meditating with it. It'll just do it by itself. Mm-hmm. So Saturn supports that spiritual aspect of the 12th house because it's easier for the person to be in those states.
Okay, so if somebody has this placement and their goal is to go into some spiritual life, it's a good placement for them.
Yeah, because it makes that solitude, aloneness easier. They don't feel tormented by it, like the way a very social person would that needs the thing and the people of the world.
Okay, but in the real life, if they have a family and they have to pay a mortgage or they have to get things done, it's not going to do so well.
No, I mean, if your dharma in this life is to like have a family and things like that, that you're career oriented and you're material oriented in this world, the 12th house is your nightmare. You're very social, you're extroverted. This is why it's a Dushanta house, because a lot of people, how many people in this world can you go up to and you have to tell them, surrender your career, surrender your family, surrender all the material desires that you have, all the social aspects that you have, give everything up and just come to this big empty vast. This is a nightmare. It's most people's nightmare. That's why it's a difficult house. We're so attached to these components of life, which is the other 11 houses of the chart. The 12th house is like, nope, none of this stuff goes here. If you want to come here, you come with nothing. Like the way we bury people with nothing. You take nothing of this world with you. And we don't want to live like that when we're alive. That's why this is such a difficult house. But when Saturn's there, Saturn's like, it's cool. I like being here. It's nice not having anyone here. It's nice to live, like, you know that saying, the minimalist style, or?
Yeah.
Very simple, just white walls, nothing on the wall, no carpet, just a little mat on the ground that I sleep, whatever. I'm totally cool. I like it this way.
I think it also is like, it doesn't come with any drama or like conflicts or anything. You're just free.
Conflict with whom? Yeah.
Oh, exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing. Yeah. You're free.
If you can bear it, if it's your cup of tea, yeah, you're free. And this is why Saturn has his joy there. Venus in the natural zodiac and Pisces 12th house is exalted. They are free, both of them.
What an amazing feeling to just feel nothing.
But while you're alive, and because you have 11 other houses and you have the other 6 traditional planets and you have the nodes, they're pulling on you, right? You might have something in the 12th house where it gives you the sense of comfort, like Saturn in the 12th house. Yeah, you're getting that sense of comfort being there, but then other parts of life are pulling on you, and then you got the transit. So the tension for a human being will be there when they have things in the 12th house, even if Saturn's sitting up there at some
Okay, so they can't just ignore it all and just be free.
Unless if you just dedicate yourself. But even when you do dedicate yourself, you might find yourself again in certain life circumstances at some point of your life where it's still not an easy house, right? Because even if you want to be detached, sometimes the world pulls on you, calls on you, or just comes and sits on your lap, even though you're like, get the hell away from me. But it's there anyway, you know, and you got to deal with it for that time.
But eventually in life, displacement, does that make them just kind of basically give up all the other houses? And like I'm saying, as like time goes by.
We can't just make that jump because I'm telling you, there's 6 other of the traditional planets that might be sitting somewhere else, unless if everyone's clustered together in the 12th house, right?
Yeah.
So in some ways, this human being by the end of their life, they are more apt at being in their own company, being alone. They're more comfortable with solitude. They're more comfortable with the simplicity of life and living on the minimal. They're not so bothered by not having all the material things around them, all the bells and whistles. So that's nice in life. So we're gonna close here. Part series of Saturn.
Saturn's the best.
Saturn's the best. Saturn will teach us stuff for sure. Reality check. Okay, so that's it for today. Anything else we need to add? I think that's good.
No, I think we're good.
We're good. Thank you for today's conversation. And that's it for today. Much love. Till next time.